getting harder and better with the manufacturers of those medicines, and it's partly because we are reflecting the real price of medicines when we pay for them as a government. We pay for medicines on the PBS, and consumers like Glenn and Lou sometimes have to buy several scripts a month. Just chatting to these two patients, I've learned that every dollar counts, and I know that. So we also are really delighted that those who would take common 4 medicines a month will see price drops of about $400 a year. Again, we're determined to continue to bring the cost of medicines down for consumers. I'm really pleased that we are underscoring the government's commitment to list medicines when our expert committees advise us to, without fear or favour. And the reason why we need to keep those costs coming down is to make room for blockbuster drugs to treat conditions that are life-threatening, drugs that cost a lot of money. People remember that Keytruda, a drug for melanoma, was listed in Australia, the first place in the world, but the real cost of that treatment is about $150,000. By having it on the PBS, general patients pay $38.20. So it's absolutely life-changing to be able to access these drugs, subsidised by government in Australia. Recently, we've added medications for ovarian cancer, for blood cancer, and of course our billion-dollar investment in hepatitis C. So it is great to be here. It is great to be talking about medicines and pharmacy, and I would like to recognise the important role that pharmacists play. This pharmacy actually won an award, and one of the things they do in business excellence is have pharmacists on the floor talking to patients, talking to consumers, and helping them manage their medicines. So congratulations, and it is a good day, Father's Day, to recognise the really strong role that community pharmacy plays in Australia today. So thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Have Australians been overcharged when it comes to prescription drugs?
No, they haven't, and that's because our PBS is world leading. I would even say world beating. Whenever you talk to overseas people in health, they often mention our PBS. It's sustainable, its growth is going up but steadily, and the fact that we continue to bring the cost of everyday medicines down, particularly as they become generic. So when a medicine goes off patent, loses its brand premium and becomes generic, it costs less. It costs less for government if we're paying for it, and it costs less for consumers to buy it. So importantly, consumers in Australia can feel reassured that we are getting the best deal for them, and that's important.
How many Australians do you anticipate that these changes will benefit?
These changes should benefit every single patient. 80% of the drugs that we're talking about today will come down in price for patients, and 20% will come down in price for taxpayers. And that's because of the structure of the PBS, where there is a general co-payment that you pay at $38.30, and there's a concessional co-payment that you pay at $6.20. There are drugs priced in between on what we call the private market that government doesn't pay for, but the whole picture for every consumer, wherever you are and whatever you're paying, is going to become more affordable. I want to make a very important point. We list drugs without fear or favour, as I just said, when they're recommended by our expert committees. And some of those drugs cost, in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per patient. Labor in government actually held up the listing of drugs. Remember, what you can't pay for, you can't deliver. So I'm calling on Bill Shorten today, as Leader of the Opposition, to guarantee something that he refused to do during the campaign, and that is to follow our policy. When a drug gets approved, through those processes, you list it, you make it available for patients, you put it in pharmacies like this one, and you make sure, therefore, that you give Australian patients the access to the blockbuster treatments that are life-saving for the future.
Is an increase to the PBS co-payment still on the table?
The measures that we took to the election are under discussion, and they're something that we will talk to the crossbench about, and the budget is the budget, and we know that we need to have budget repair and run that budget responsibly in order to build a sustainable health system, in order to be able to list medicines, in order to keep costs down for patients. Remember, a lot of the savings that we're talking today are in medicines that are on what we call the private market. They're actually not subsidised by government because they're below the general co-payment, and their price continues to come down because of competition between pharmacists and between the manufacturers of those medicines. So it isn't all about government policy, it's about government policy giving the market the tools and the ability to do what consumers expect, and that is deliver them the best deal.
Glenn, I might ask you, how will these changes benefit you as a consumer?
It's always beneficial when you're on multiple drugs a day that you get some discount. Every drug you buy comes out of your pocket, so any announcement like this is wonderful.
Do you know how much you'll save from these changes? You're still to work that out.
Still to work that out, yeah.
Yeah. And is it Lou?
Lou,
Do you want to speak as well?
I welcome this. Obviously, it's really expensive to live with something like type 2 diabetes, so having any sort of discount is amazing. Means I can worry about other things instead of my diabetes.
Minister, just on another topic, is there still disquiet within the government when it comes to super changes following, Tony Abbott confronting Scott Morrison just a couple of days ago on the matter?
No, there's not. The government party room has met, the cabinet's met, we've had really meaningful, productive discussions, and I think we're in a very good place, and I think members of the coalition understand that when we take a policy to an election, we come out of the election with that policy in hand, and while ongoing discussions will continue to take place, I see them all ending in the best place.
Are those discussions quite heated?
Well, I'm not involved in them. As Health Minister, I've got quite a bit going on, and I leave that to my Treasury and Finance portfolio colleagues. Thank you.
All right, that was the Health Minister, Sussan Ley, in Melbourne, announcing a new deal with drug companies, which she says will mean that almost 80% of all drugs on the PBS will become cheaper, meaning that it will be life-changing for many patients around the country.